Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk to Tanner Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercises to help make you the absolute best entrepreneur you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. Thanks for checking out our content. If you want to learn more about investing in yourselves and working with me and our company personally, we offer a 6-week Total Life Mastery Bootcamp, where we go over the most important topics to make sure that our life has the foundation we need to catapult us forward to take the right and proper actions to become happier and more productive, guaranteed, or our money back. And this morning, we're going to be talking about how I've been able to really reduce, pretty much dwindle down to very small amounts of the anxiety that I feel throughout the day. I was feeling a lot of anxiety when I was first coming out of college because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I had a rough idea. And then I finally stumbled into something. And then it was always like, oh, I need to get more sales. Oh, I need to help impress my boss. Oh, I need to help improve my health. Like I'm not nearly as in good a shape anymore. I used to be in really good shape in college. And then once I started getting really full-fledged into the workforce, I think this happens to everybody at some point in their lives where you're working really hard, and whether that's on your career or your family or whatever, and your health gets thrown to the wayside. And then when your health's off, then you're off. And then things like anxiety just start ramping the hell up, and it can really eat you alive. So I'm hoping that this exercise and this strategy can help with reducing overthinking, reducing the amount of anxiety that we may feel. I wanted to use this as a preface before we get into what it is we'll be talking about today. So interoceptive, our first term that we're going to be learning about today. Oh, shoot. Okay. Relating to stimuli produced within an organism. So we can think inside of ourselves, the focus inside of ourselves. This would be like when you're focusing and you have a feeling that is internal. Maybe someone who is highly interoceptive can feel their heartbeat. They can sense maybe one of your body parts is sore, and it almost feels like, have you ever had your forearm so sore that you feel like a pulse, or anywhere, any type of muscle or anything like that, where it kind of feels like it feels that in itself has a pulse, or any type of feeling or movement? Maybe you're feeling your gut as it expands or it contracts. You're feeling that within your body, like surface level. Think like your skin and within. So interoceptive. Exteroceptive is on the other side, relating to stimuli that are external to the organism, stimuli that are external to the organism. So I think the easiest way to think about this is your vision and the things that you see, and your ability to like focus and to lock and to be stimulated, thinking outside, beyond the threshold of our skin, the things that we see and we experience outside of ourselves. And then what is the definition of anxiety? A feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. That makes sense how so many young people nowadays, especially, I think anxiety's probably been around for forever and a day. I definitely believe it's increased due to uses of technology and just heavy stimuli outside of ourselves, heavy stimuli within ourselves. Anything you could ever want, you can have within your grasp. Maybe you'd like to smoke nicotine vapes, or maybe you indulge in alcohol, or maybe you just indulge in like talking about gossip or with people. There's a lot going on here, and anxiety can sometimes really build up and be rampant now with the overindulgence of things, now that we live in the new world where pretty much everything's available all the time. Or it could be that we're just so connected with everyone all the time through the internet, social media apps, and this and that. Sometimes it can be too much, and it can feel very overwhelming, and it can feel very intense, excessive, and persistent worry and fear, everyday situations. Okay, anxiety, interoceptive, exteroceptive. And it's like, and in the title, it says, how do I destroy my anxiety? We're really trying to just reduce it. It's kind of like the concept with cancer. It's whether you're going to die with it or from it. And anxiety is always going to be present within us at all. It's just whether it's going to drive us to the point of just pure suffering way too much of the time, or it can still be a skill and a motivation, because anxiety is like a tool that's been built in us through evolution over time to help protect us, to help us survive, all this and that. And it still has, like, being nervous and being excited is like, the process of it is so similar that's going on in your brain. You can hardly even tell when you have the right mindset. So I'm hoping that we can start to give more awareness to our anxiety and then start using these types of exercises too. And that's how we're getting into meditation today. Meditation saves the day yet again. You're probably thinking, oh, geez, Tanner, more meditation crap. You're always talking about this. It's like, yep, we got to do it just a little bit every day. The science is starting to show that even doing it for 1 minute a day, doing either interoceptive work or exteroceptive work, can be extremely beneficial to helping to reduce anxiety. So now I'm going to go over and go to the board. Oh, good morning. We have a special guest here this morning. It's our guest, our favorite guest, Cleo. Woo, go Cleo. She's going to help us do the interoceptive work and the exteroceptive work. All right, enough Cleo. Cleo says, have a great Friday. Interoceptive work, exteroceptive work. Here are some examples. So, and this is in relation to meditation. And when we're thinking interoceptive, this would be the style that you do with internal work. So I want you to think about when you would close your eyes to do a breathing exercise, and you're focusing on the air coming in and the air going out, and you're focusing on the sensation of your breathing. So that is one way to do it, is focus on breathing. Another way to do it, say if you have, I get this sometimes from coffee and from marijuana. From these two things specifically, they can make my heart rate go up almost to an uncomfortable point. And then also it makes my anxiety creep up. I've noticed that there's a pretty direct correlation. When my heart rate gets too high, then my anxiety gets too high. So coffee and marijuana can be stimulants for me. I still want to do these, and I still want these in my life. And just understanding that how much I consume of them, it has a direct tie to how much anxiety I'm feeling. I think there's plenty of studies that tie to caffeine and THC and increasing heart rate and anxiety. So just giving more awareness to that has been really helpful for me. And then when I do the breathing exercise, or I'm just focusing on, like, I'm literally my heart rate. So another example of interoceptive work that has helped really is just breathing, having my hand over my heart, and almost trying to count the beats, and just very calmly, very succinctly, just thinking, okay, well, the goal is to not think. You let cars on a highway, interoceptive work, cars on a highway, they come and you let them go, and you're kind of just focused on the feeling inside of your body. So focusing within. These are some examples of interoceptive work. You can also focus on, like, your senses. Your sight is something that we're going to use more on the exteroceptive work, but most of your senses, anything with your senses that you have to gauge internally, is usually really helpful with interoceptive work. And just doing this for a minute a day keeps the anxiety away. Now we're going to do a few examples of exteroceptive work. So interoceptive work is a lot more common. I think when you think of someone who is meditating, they're sitting cross-legged on the ground like the Buddha, and their eyes are closed, and they're super focused internally. And then exteroceptive work isn't something, it's something that I've always loved and really enjoyed, but I never practiced it, or I wasn't deliberate on it, or I just didn't understand it. So this would be like your vision locked onto something in nature. So again, Mother Nature, the closer we get to it, probably the better. Getting outside of my own head and just into fully experiencing the world. Keep up with me this morning. I know it's Friday morning. It's a little bit deeper of a conversation, but this stuff, can't stress it enough. It has really helped with my anxiety. Exteroceptive, having a strong gaze on things within nature. If you can get outside just for 1 minute today, and then you can focus on something like a tree. So looking off in a tree, you're like, oh, geez, this guy, tree, water, fire. But I found these ones to be the most calming and to be the best and the easiest to focus on in exteroceptive work. So you are outside and you are viewing a tree. And I want you to not think about, I want you to not feel anything internally versus just having a strong gaze on what it is the tree is doing. Kind of just locked into it. And then when you have a thought come up, car on a highway, it comes and it goes. And we just keep our gaze on it. Our ability to readjust our focus and our ability to enjoy the movements and what it is that we are viewing is going to continue to lower our heart rate. It's going to continue to lower our anxiety, and it's going to help us engage and enjoy the present moment. It seems so weird to me that I've known that going and looking at a lake or going and looking at a river or looking at the ocean, I knew it was something super peaceful about it. I was like, how does this even relate? But apparently that is like a form of meditation. And again, we're aiming for something like 3 minutes. If you could do 3 minutes today and you can tell me, Tanner, that didn't make me feel better, that made me feel worse, I'd be very, very surprised. And I would love to talk to you one-on-one. Or maybe I can help you walk through an exercise or something like that. Because these two things, and what did Buddha talk about? Always something in the middle. We always want something in the middle. So going back and forth, I've used interoceptive work to really help with the slowing down of my heart rate. This is the calming and the good feeling and reconnecting with my body, preferably, and getting out of my head that way. And then also when I have a little too much anxiety or too much feeling, or I don't want to be focused on the feelings in my body, going exteroceptive work and focusing on other things. I mean, it makes sense why I love bonfires so much. Just sitting around with my friends and looking at fire, and it's just like this endless. Mother Nature has this beautiful way of just making kind of like this endless flow of this non-constant image that is very, very soothing to me, and it makes me feel really good. So maybe this is motivating your thinking before the weekend. It's like, how can I incorporate interoceptive and exteroceptive work into my life?